Oh, your one tells you it's being recorded. It's very polite, Charlie. Oh, mine's recording now. Oh, okay. Hello.
How are you?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, hang on, I haven't got my light on.
Yeah, I just thought so. Is it 10 Days of Darkness in your cabin?
It could be, couldn't it? It could be the start of the 10 Days of Darkness, yeah.
Could be. So, Charlie, what's going on? Tell us. I saw your interview with Simon Parkes and Robert David Steele.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Around.
Look, the whole idea of this, Alpa, and it's the same with you, with Aisha and Tiana, that when you get groups of people together, we all have a duty to do, and we all have groups that connect. And when you've got a group of people that connect, it becomes very powerful. And we've all come under attack, but because of the fact that when you get three people together instead of just one by yourself,
absolutely,
people get jealous and they go, "Oh, what about him? What about him?" And you just smile and go, "No, I've found somebody that's on the same frequency." And when it's not competitive, it never has been. It's all about getting the truth out there. Naturally, I am competitive. Naturally, I am. And I've often said,
this is not about that. This is not.
Sorry?
I said this is not about that. You know,
it's not. But one of my naughty sayings was that, you know, I always like to be the best at what I do. The only time I ever come second is in bed. And it's naughty, but it's true that I like to be the best at what I do. Sure. And I've carried that into this, in the fact that I want to find out the most amount of truth. Yeah. And I've done a serious amount of work. Yeah. But when you get people attacking you, that they go after you because they suddenly realize that the numbers are good, and people are driven by numbers. To me, as long as I get the message out, God will look after the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the most important part. And the other thing, because you've been to my house as well, I still have to put the rubbish out twice, every other day. My wife, that's my job to do, and to get the cars, keep the cars clean, keep them full of fuel. That's my job. We got the builders in at the moment. They're converting downstairs here into a new office. So I'm going to have a new office, but I'm going to keep my picture.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you there, Charlie. You know that you've grown exponentially since the first interview that we did back in July. And I remember you had like 40,000 in now. You know, you've got your own channel, you have your own book, you've grown, you're speaking to all the right people in this quest for truth. No one's claiming that we know everything in terms of the accuracies, right down to the time, the minute, exactly what time things are going to happen. I get hit on that. That's why I don't give a lot of timelines. But Aisha, myself, and Tiana have definitely, you know, formed unity within the Asian community, and they offer so much to people. You know, Aisha's amazing. She's just there behind the scenes doing the work, and that's what it's about. It's about that unity and you carrying on, forging forward, and doing the best that we can. I mean, that interview with Simon Parkes was really good, informative, punchy, everything that's going on, to the point, and, you know, bingo. You know, and he's been incredibly popular over the last few days, especially, you know, and yourself. And then there's Robert David Steele that's doing that. Everybody's playing their part, I think, you know, in this puzzle. We're a piece of the puzzle, and we're doing our bit. And we have to all realize that, what are we doing this for? You know, we just got out of bed one day that we want to just sort of talk about all this stuff. No, it just so happens that we're in a moment in time in history, in mankind. I mean, never before are we going to be living in these times. I mean, it's only going to get better, but we have to kind of ride the waves right now, Charlie.
Other than the truth, there's another big point that is very, very important that gets overlooked. And this is why I love Aisha as well, because of the fact that she wears her costume and what it shows to the world, whether you're black, white, man, woman, Muslim, Christian, any faith, any color, any race, we are all on the same page. And this will hurt the deep state and the cabal, because what it is the world coming together and healing together. There's absolutely no racism, sexism, or anything in the truth community. The only bit of negative in the truth community is my truth's better than your truth, which is in our DNA, and we've just got to knock it on the head, because every single piece of the puzzle is valuable. There's not. I've heard people go, well, this isn't that important. I've gone, of course it is. There was a letter that came out today that I published on purpose because it showed that there's certain military people who are up against Trump, and this needs to be exposed as to every piece of the swamp needs to be removed, and you can't just disregard it. You have to say fine. You have to face up to the facts and say fine. This is what's happening. This is becoming exposed. But the beauty of what we all have, all from different parts of the world. I've connected with so many parts of the world that I never expected to.
Yeah, same here.
And you and I had this conversation 6 months ago about connecting with Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and that part of the world. Because the emotional trauma that they'll go through when they find out the truth about Bollywood, because they idolize their heroes out there far more than Hollywood does. And Hollywood is like, all the Oscars and all the award ceremonies, they're all lovey, lovey, lovey. We love you. The biggest load of bullshit ever. And of course, people get caught up in that.
Yeah.
And Bollywood's taken it up a level because they idolize these people to a different level.
Do you actually know anything about any specific people, Charlie?
Sorry?
Do you know anything about any specific people within Bollywood?
Yeah, I do. But I'm asked not to name them because this all comes down to a process of timing, and as they break it out to the people. Because if you come out and start naming people like in the normal Charlie fashion, I could be responsible for making people commit suicide, and I don't want to do that because they'll be so devastated.
No, but it's out, like, the names that we know within Hollywood, and that's been circulating since the beginning of all of this. So surely, I have my suspicions. I have my guesses of who they could be. But some of the big names, because do you remember you sent me that meme with all the people who've been arrested going with the COVID.
Yeah.
Publicly having the injections, etc. So right at the start, what all of that meant. So if you've been publicly declared as having COVID, there's a hidden meaning behind that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's a lot going on, but what I've learned to do is to trust what's going on. Trust the plan, as Q would say. Trust the plan. And it was interesting. Somebody pointed out that, oh, he's a member of Q. That actually, just so that people know, is more to do with the quantum system backed by gold than QAnon. Let's get that real. The QAnon logo is different. I put the Q up there as a sign about the quantum system backed by gold, which I'm involved in. And that's what that signifies. It's amazing how people try and twist it to suit their own narrative.
Charlie, you should be used to that, though, isn't it? You've had it.
Oh, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I find it inspiring when people have a go at me, because there's only one thing worse than being talked about. That's not being talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the things people say, in this journey, we just got to soldier on and think, these are all distractions, and this is a spiritual thing. Remember that, and I've had that happen to me. I didn't want to come out and do all of this. This wasn't really within my nature because, I wasn't really politically inclined. I didn't have much interest, but this is sort of a moral compass. And when you find out about the children, of course, it was, it made me really, really angry, like a lot of people. And it gave me the impetus to actually say, hey, this is wrong. And that righteous anger, and it motivated me to say, right, well, I don't really care what anyone thinks of me, whether it's my friends or family. In time, people will realize the truth. And that's the thing, Charlie, you said something really important. It's a question of timing. This is one big movie. I say it's like, I'm not sort of saying it's a Netflix series, but it is, there's so many different episodes and it's having twists and turns, and we're having to do the work. We're having to do the work to see, because the level of corruption that's been infiltrated on our planet, was it a question of just 4 years that this was going to be eradicated? No, This has been a military operation for more than 4 years. It's going back to even before Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
So we have to put things in perspective and do the groundwork and take things back to the roots, not just the roots in terms of what's going on at a 3D plane. We have to take it back to the spiritual roots, and that requires doing homework. That requires going to the depths and not relying on the mainstream media, actually following a few different people, and then being able to sit back and decipher for yourself, saying, well, actually, Charlie Ward has got all the points of what's going on, you know, in real time. For example, Simon Parks gives me this, Alpa Soni gives me the spiritual battle, this person gives me this. So you can align with that. We need to stop that criticism and condemnation of people. So I'm absolutely with you, but hey, look, you've inspired a lot of people. People are, you know, following you everywhere you go. And the amount of times you've been taken off YouTube, it's crazy.
15.
You really wear that badge of honor very well, Charlie.
I do it for fun, though. It's because for me, I find it funny to put it up and start again and put it up and start again and say,
relentless.
Keep going, go on. Because you know, it's become a game now. The one thing that's very interesting, that every single person that I'm talking down to the truth knows a feeling of peace inside them. And it's very interesting, the aggressive ones that are coming after you, they're in the third dimension, and they're challenging this, they're challenging that, they've missed the whole point.
Yes.
And there was one particular troll, and just for a bit of fun, I thought I'd track out who he was. He's a failed copper.
Right.
He couldn't even do that job. And, you know, that's just a question of walking up and down the road, looking after people, and he can't even do that properly. And you feel sorry for people like that.
Yeah.
If you fail as a copper, well, I suppose you can go to being a traffic warden.
Well, there is that option.
And if you fail as a traffic warden, I suppose you could be a prison officer.
Yeah, but it's projection, Charlie. And when people say this, and there's this over-reliance on you as an individual. Somebody attacked me the other day publicly. I'm in Facebook jail. I've been taken off Instagram, and I've gone into jail a few times. And they use that time because they know that I can't answer to troll me on my wall. I can't take it down. I can't do anything. So they use that. That's spineless. And it's actually usually from my own people. And I find that really, and I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but, you know, look at what a person's trying to do and trying to achieve. I don't know the answers. And I say, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I say, look, I wasn't politically astute. I'm not going to get all of this right, but I'm a person that's going out there to, you know, try and find out the truth. So by trolling me and humiliating me publicly, you're only showing yourself up. You're not doing any of the work. And this was because I support Trump, and I was aligning with the election, saying that Trump is going to win on the 3rd. But the thing is, we just didn't realize the twist that this was going to take, because we needed to show the public the corruption at every single institution, right to the Supreme Court, so that the military can take it, you know, in control. It started with the military, and it's going to end with the military. Yeah. So, you know, these are the twists and turns. I didn't know. We're just sort of following it up as each day goes.
I've always said on the whole way through this, I'm not the Messiah, I'm just Charlie. That's why I named my book, I'm Just Charlie. I'm not the Messiah. And there's been a number of times where I've been given information on purpose where the dates have been incorrect, because they've laughed at me afterwards and they said, we knew that you'd put it out there, and it's helped, the distraction has helped us get the job done. To me, it doesn't hurt me. And people go, well, you've lost a lot of credibility. I've gone, well, not to you, maybe you weren't right in the first place. And what I'm saying to everybody out there is, if you've got a moral compass that's accurate, you don't have to take Charlie's word for it.
Yeah.
I want to provoke you to do your own research.
Absolutely.
And then trust your own intuition. And when people come back and challenge you about dates, it's because they're trying to muddy the waters so that you can't trust your intuition. They don't want you to trust your intuition. They want you to be programmed. It's all part of the deep state and the cabals.
This is the cabal paradigms. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't trust your own intuition. Listen to Sky News. Don't trust what you learn. Listen to the BBC. Trust CNN. This is what they're trying to do. Don't trust your own intuition. You don't need to do the research. We've done it for you. Yeah. Bullshit. Why don't you do one? I'm going to find out for myself, because what you're telling us is a pack of lies. And so they send out these trolls. And these trolls, it's quite funny. Most of these trolls out there failed when they worked for the BBC, failed when they worked for CNN, failed as reporters. So they've been used as trolls because they feel sorry for them.
Because they're trolls.
They are. That's exactly what they are. They're nothing more than trolls.
Yeah.
And
no, it's good that you're mentioning this, because we're sort of teaching people how we don't need to do this. You know, this is all the paradigms of the cabal. This is what they've taught. There is no credible journalism out there. None at all. No. None. They're teaching the public how to criticize, condemn, and actually demise people. That's not right. That is absolutely not right. And I don't stand for that on my page as well. I just say, I'll take you off within a minute if you're going to do that. We teach people decorum. We call it in Sanskrit, sanskar. Yeah, and sabhyata, a level of, you know, decorum and a nature within where you speak to people respectfully. And that's what we need to teach society again. I'm not the Messiah as well. I'm not some guru. I'm just a normal girl living in London, just finding my own way and wanting to find out the truth. But there is a way. And also there's not taking the crap as well. We tell people that, you know, this isn't just not going to be tolerated. But going back, just want to quickly, before I forget, going back to India, I'm finding that a lot of the Asian community are waking up, and there is this uproar about BBC Asian Network, which is all coming out about, you know, the prejudice and all of the crap that the BBC do anyway. You mentioned Bollywood, and will there be big revelations as well, or will there have been deals done there, like?
There'll be deals done all over the place, but I'm going to mention one thing about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and that part of the world. The one thing that they have far, far better than the rest of the world is respect. The generational respect. Yes, it's been contaminated by the Western world, where respect has gone out the window. But I've got a lot of Indian friends and a lot of Pakistani friends I've known for years that still refer to me as either boss or sir. And I go, no, I'm just Charlie, mate. I'm just Charlie. And they're like, yes, boss. Yes, boss. And the respect of elders, and you go into the Philippines where they refer to everyone as Ati, it's a level up. Yeah. So you'd be Ati Alpa, and it's a respect thing that is beautiful in the Middle East, the Far East, which is completely fallen away in our moral compasses in Europe and America and Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. It's fallen away, and we need to get back to this respecting our elders, respecting our parents, respecting those who are older than us. So and if we did that, we'd learn. Sorry?
I should call you Charlie Uncle or Charlie.
Exactly right. No, but this is what, you know, it's for me, I'm just Charlie. I've always been just Charlie. And even with my Filipino staff who worked for me for years, they always referred to me as sir. And then the little baby came along, Loopy Lou, as I called her, and she started calling me Charlie, but she was the only person in the house. I had 3 Filipinos looking after me. They all referred to me as so, and she called me Charlie. To this day, she still calls me Charlie, which I find very, very sweet. But they're so programmed to respect. And I had to tell her mother to say, no, you let her call me Charlie. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Because she was born in my house, and I saw her from 1 day old.
Yeah.
All her life, and you know, I didn't want her to go through the process of being, you know, we're all human beings and we're all on a level, but there's this, you have to learn the respect of those that are older, and those that are in positions of responsibility. There's a respect there that we need to learn. And a lot of people who've abused their role in positions of authority, they need to be removed so that we can learn to respect those people in positions. I had somebody the other day that claimed to be an officer, a banking officer, and I asked a question about, could you sort this out? Very simple job. I'll have to ask my boss. I said, well, I thought you were an officer. That makes you just a clerk. Why have you given the name officer if you have no authority? You know, if you're an officer, you should have authority. Mm. If you're just a clerk or a teller, then just say what you are. Don't make it up. Because when I come to you and ask you to do something, you go, well, I have to ask my boss. That means that your title is just a title only. And we've got away from, like, I worked, where was it? Where it was again in the Middle East. Everybody has titles. I mean, on your business card, it's so important what your title is. And I met one guy once he was Indian, and he owned about 5 hotels in Dera. And on his business card, under his name, he got manager, and he was the owner.
Bless.
That made me smile. I thought, you've got hold of it. You've got it.
But there's this importance. This is what happens. There's the impetus and titles. You know, people ascribe to being, that's who they are. I am a doctor. I am a teacher. I am a solicitor. And they place so much importance on this. And it's all materialism. We need to go inside. And actually, you're not that. Anything that you put after I am is not what you are. You are, you know, consciousness. And you know, we ascribe to that, and this is the downfall. But these are the constructs and paradigms of the cabal. They have taught society and humanity to go outside themselves. And I'm glad you mentioned that about the respect that the Asian culture have, because that's what it is. This is how my mother brought me up. She said, you can do what you want in life. She's not very strict, but she says, have a sense of decorum, which is sabhyata, satbuddhi, good thinking. Intellectual thinking, but pure thinking. So don't corrode it and infest it with negativity unnecessarily, and, you know, be assertive and be strong in life. But so sanskar, satbuddhi, and you know, sabhyata, your nature, the way you are. So these things are really, really important, and you take those values with you in life. So for me, coming out here, it's not easy. As you know, Charlie, you know my story. There's very few Asian people up like Aisha, myself, and Tiana that are actually on this scale speaking about it. Can you imagine the backlash that we're getting? However, I'm getting a lot of support and love, people messaging me privately, which is amazing. Another girl called Monica, she's been there from the start, but everyone's doing their bit. By being awake, you're doing your bit. By being, you know, in alignment with the truth, and knowing that the cabal is, you know, is just absolutely awful. That in itself, that standing in your truth, you're doing your bit. So not everybody can go out and do these shows, but the fact that you're working within yourself, and you're working, we have good days, bad days, because this is almost a year now in, and we are, you know, it's an emotional roller coaster. We're riding so many waves, but it's an amazing journey, and, you know, we're having fun with it. And the most important thing is sense of humor as well. You have to have a sense of humor in this.
Exactly. The other thing that I think is very, very important, and this is something that people poke me about, but it doesn't bother me, is if you've got some hard evidence of something that I've said that's incorrect, I will welcome it, because the information I'm getting is, I am not the Messiah. I am just Charlie. The information I'm getting is from my sources, and my sources, I believe, are accurate. I believe they are. But if you're saying to me that you've got better information, I will welcome your information with open arms. But if you're just coming along and say, you know, you don't like this, you don't like that. I had somebody the other day who said, who came along and said, the color, your lighting's not very good and your sound's not very good.
We get that all the time.
Come to me and tell me my message is not good, and I'll listen to you, and then come up with some hard evidence. But whether I've got no hair and a fat face and you know, the lighting's not very good, whoopee-doo. I'm stuck. Alpa's been in my office, and it's like a bomb shelter. I've got a new one coming next month, so you'll see my new one next month. But
yeah, it's that level of criticism. But Charlie, look, what I'd like to do as well on a weekly basis, because I think things are going to kick off in India and it's going to implode. So I'd like to do like weekly sort of fire rounds with you. You know, I'll arrange that. I think that's because there's some questions as well that, you know, people have written. So actually, this is from Aisha herself. She says hello.
Hi, Aisha.
She's a phenomenal
wonderful lady. She's a living example of what a Muslim lady can be.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful human being.
Yeah, and I'd like to just say something. I know this is just not the, you know, just a very quick mention to Aisha, is because she is keeping so many people together. You know, she's just a rock to so many of us. And honestly, like when I have some days where I feel like, oh, this is really getting to me, she's like the little sister I've never had. Yeah. So Aisha, I know she'll be watching this and she's going to kill me. She's absolutely going to kill me for doing this to her. But she's going, okay, so could you ask Charlie the following? So the clarification with the blackouts, why was the General Electric deal taking place in Pakistan, if you know any of these, and have the outages have anything to do with the BTC the Bitcoin miners and why the death threats from Iran is being done. Is it for optics?
Let's take them one by one.
Yeah. So the first one, clarification with the blackouts.
Yeah, the blackouts are happening already, but they're not. It's not a global blackout. It's happening in countries. It happened in Pakistan. It's happened in Iran. It's happened in parts of America. It's happened in places, and this is all strategic, so that you don't shut everything down in one go. It's being carefully planned out. I don't know the order, and nobody does because it's not public knowledge. Right. But you can expect areas to be blacked out at certain times for certain reasons. It'll all be very, very carefully thought through, to do with arrests, to do with the transition of all the banking system.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
It's huge.
It's huge, but don't worry one little bit. The blackouts, when they come, just enjoy your family, and just make sure that you've got enough bits and bobs around the house. We've always got more than enough in our house, but just make sure you've got enough water, just the stable foods.
Yeah.
If you're in India and Pakistan and the Far East, plenty of rice. We've got plenty of potatoes and rice. I bought two massive bags of jasmine rice the other day, which we absolutely love, from Thailand. But I like my rice, even though I'm a Westerner. I've spent so much time in the Middle East. Good rice is very, very important for me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So that was question number one. The blackouts, yes, they're coming in areas. Some. Hey, if you don't get a blackout, it means you're living surrounded by really good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you get blackouts, you've got a lot of naughty ones around you.
Yeah. The other thing that I spoke to Jason Q yesterday, and you know how he deciphers with his comms and numbers. He said so that today officially, with all the numerology, he deciphered that today is the official day that the military come into force. So today.
Yeah, I believe that, and also another day just to watch out for, which I haven't spoken to Jason yet about, and today is the 13th. In 6 days time, it'll be the 19th, which is 9/11 back to front.
Yes.
So
9/01/01, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. There's a number of dates right now that are valued. Today is a very important day. Every day is important. So yeah, that was the first question. What was the
second one? Why was the General Electric deal taking place in Pakistan?
Right. With regard to Pakistan, India and Pakistan, India have got right behind Trump. Pakistan are on the other side.
Woo!
Yeah, exactly. So Modi is right behind Trump.
Yes.
And when I say Pakistan's on the other side, not Pakistan, the people that are controlling it are. The people are on the wrong side, the people at the top.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are being done there to expose what's going on. So just be aware, keep your eyes open. Yeah, you can work it out for yourself. There's a lot going on there. Keep your eyes open, but the people who are on the wrong side will be exposed.
Yeah, but the whole movie is about that, the exposure of corruption, and it's not been over the last 4 years. This is what people are not getting. Donald Trump hasn't done it. He's inherited the crap. He's inherited all this shit, and they're just blaming him and vilifying him. That should tell you in itself. Use your common sense. And these are the people that are saying, Charlie, that well, he hasn't gone into war and he hasn't done this. Then why are you calling him a racist and a bigotist? Oh, it's boring. Shut up.
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
That's exactly what I say now. Sorry. So the outages have anything to do with the Bitcoin miners. This is what.
Right. Yeah, there's an awful lot to do with this, and this is something that is being played out tactically now, because the outages have an awful lot of bearing, especially around Wuhan, because in Wuhan itself, you've got the laboratory.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's not a small laboratory; it's massive. And in line behind the laboratory, you've got the three dams, and underneath where the three dams are all the servers for BTC, Bitcoin. And BTC is very well known as being the coin that's been used by North Korea, Iran for illegal trading, and by the naughty boys who deal with the Colombian marching powder. It's been very easy to move drug money across.
Wow. So look at that, people who are buying Bitcoin or have Bitcoin, there's a lot of negative energy connected to it, right?
There is. And the general consensus is that when they collapse the 3 dams, it will take out the laboratory and all the servers for Bitcoin.
Right. So staying on the subject of Bitcoin very quickly, is it then that Bitcoin will just completely drop and have a crash?
I don't know. That's what my understanding would be.
Yeah.
But there has been something put forward, which is that we're trying to verify right now, about there being a nuclear weapon-based storage facility underneath there as well. And what we don't want to do is to take the risk of killing innocent people.
Yeah.
So that at the moment we're at a stage where there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, a lot of work to establish exactly what the truth is, because they might have just said that to stop them taking down the dams, which would collapse the laboratory and Bitcoin. So whether they've just made that up or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
But they're doing a lot of research, and one thing that Trump is doing is making sure that he protects as many lives as possible. We are in a war.
We are.
He's unlike any other president that goes out. And if you take the presidents involved with Iraq, Iran, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, etc., I could run on for ages of different, the times they've attacked countries. And even when you look at the US presidents who are quite happy to kill 3,500 Americans on September the 11th and not bat an eyelid, Donald Trump is not like that. Donald Trump wants to save lives. Yes, there will be natural losses, collateral damage during this period, and that's incredibly sad. But that's not what he's about. He's about saving lives and giving us our lives back. And it doesn't matter what your faith is, what your religion is, what your color is. That's irrelevant. Your soul is what Donald Trump is interested in.
Absolutely. And it's shocking. It's shocking how this scamdemic has been used as a bioweapon, and it's genocide. And you're right, there is a lot of collateral damage that's going to happen. We are in a war, and we have to accept and face that fact and face that reality. It's a spiritual war, it's a psychological war. So yeah, there's
doctors out there who are pushing ahead with the vaccine that will be held accountable for genocide.
Yes, this is genocide at its highest,
It is. And doctors will be responsible for their own actions.
Yeah.
And Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, will leave you when you're in trouble. I promise you. He won't be there to help you out of the hole you've dug yourself into. For those people that have been administering a vaccine which is incredibly dangerous, you'll be held accountable.
Absolutely. I mean, I speak to some parents, there's some friends of mine who are having an absolute horrible time with mothers, and they're like so excited, we can't wait to get the vaccine, it's just going to give us freedom, because then that means that we can travel, we can do this, and we just must get the save granny. Really?
I know I've had a young lady on the phone to me, and she's asked me not to put her name out. And her parents did exactly the same thing. They rushed to the doctors to get the vaccine because they wanted their freedom back. Well, they got their freedom back. The mother died two days after she had the vaccine. And the father was in intensive care for 4 days and died thereafter. So they've got their freedom. They've been freed of this world. But if that's the kind of freedom you want, then have the vaccine. If you don't want that kind of freedom, then I would suggest you think twice and do some research before you have a vaccine.
Yeah, and like this is genocide again. This is exactly what it's doing.
Blatant genocide.
So going back to the Bitcoin, just finishing, I have a question about that as well. So there's the speculation about XRP then shooting through the roof in spite of all the negativity that it's had over the last few weeks. What are your thoughts on that? I'm
not a cryptocurrency specialist at all, but there are plenty of people out there who know so much better than I do. And as you know, I was on a private jet coming back from Africa when one of the legal, political people that I know very, very well mentioned the fact that XRP was going to be used. I didn't even know what the letters meant. I had no idea. And so I did my own research that was going to be used as the operating system for the blockchain technology for the new quantum system. I don't know what it is. I still haven't done enough research. We've got some very, very brilliant minds out there in the cryptocurrency world who can advise you on that sort of thing. And in that situation, because I can't advise you on money at all, I'm not qualified.
Yeah, no, just this is just more for your thoughts.
My thoughts are that I bought gold and silver.
Yeah,
because it's something I know. And at 60 years old, all of that blockchain stuff is gobbledygook to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've sort of got on the bandwagon, but you know, I'm still no expert with crypto. Aisha's my expert.
There's a very good analogy of what an expert is. X is an unknown quantity, and spurt is a drip under pressure.
Okay, and the next question: why the death threats from Iran, and is this being done for optics?
It's all being done for optics, and Iran. You have to understand that Iran is extremely upset right now because they backed Biden, because Biden had given them the authority verbally that when he got into power, he would allow them to invade certain countries and take them over. And it was the same. He did the same deal with China to take over Taiwan and other enclaves and what they call them, territories, that he'd given them full consent to basically take control, because China and Iran, this is where people have done no research. Biden is China's bitch.
Yeah.
And how on earth anybody considered voting for that, I will never know, because they've done. It shows a complete lack of intelligence of doing any research whatsoever. Because if you did a moment of research into Biden and realized that he was China's the CCP's puppet, unless, of course, you're a member of the CCP.
For 47 years. For 47 years, he's been their puppet.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. You know, we're not just talking about, like, you know, the last few years. It's for such a long time. This has been a long operation with China and the CCP. I mean, they've infiltrated the media, every corner of society, and it's been like slow poison. And this is where people have taken the focus away from China and embedded this victim kind of mentality and the blame culture, because Trump is just responsible for everything.
It reminds me an awful lot because I've been asked on many occasions by Chinese they've offered, and I'll give you one example of many. They offered me £2.5 billion, interest-free, with no repayment date, to invest in projects in the United Kingdom. So you go, hey, that's not a bad deal. And if I'm a businessman, I can go into the UK. I tell you what, I'll fund any eco project you want in the UK, and I'll lend you the money for 1%. Which is cheaper than any bank will ever give it to you. With and the repayment date, you can pay it back. It's just 1% per year. So you get a nice little income, and then you can do. A lot of people have been doing tag-on deals, and all they want in return for that is an introduction to people I know. And as you know, I'm very well connected in many governments around the world, and I know lots of them on personal levels that have done for 20, 30 years. And I can get people in front of certain people. And that's all they ask for. And then once they're in there, and we had this the other day with a certain politician, a UK politician, and he said, "Oh, you know, I've known Charlie for 20 years, and we trust him, and we've put 2.5 billion into an account, an escrow account, that is available. And what we'd like from you as the politician, what we'd like from you is any projects that you are struggling to fund, we'll be more than willing to fund them for you." So it comes across beautifully, and the politicians are like, "Charlie, you've just brought us a man from heaven. We need this funding." And then, of course, they go, "Well, we got this that we can fund." And then suddenly their ego goes up, and the politicians, "I can get this funded. We can get this sorted." And this is how they work. It's a very, very clever strategy. And then they've got a footprint, and they've got a member of parliament on their side. And of course, that member of parliament introduces them to another member of parliament. And they'll be talking over lunch and say, "Oh, could you introduce me to so-and-so? I'd like to know him." "Of course, yeah, he's one of my friends' friends' friend." And that's how they're brilliant at networking. They're very, very, very clever.
Very shrewd and conniving.
Now, if you're a politician, you think it's your birthday because suddenly you've got endless amounts of money to all the projects you wanted to do.
Yeah.
If you're a businessman like Donald Trump is, you go, hang on a sec, what are you up to?
China.
China.
China virus.
When you offer a billionaire 2.5 billion, he's going, hang on, what are you giving it to me for? Tell me. It doesn't have the same impact as it does for Charlie and Alpa. You give Charlie and Alpa 2.5 billion, we love you. Because we're not on the same level as he is, where he's like, hang on, why are you giving me this money? What do I owe you? What am I in for?
Yeah.
So that's the fundamentals of it anyway.
No, but you see, for me, so being in the mortgage industry, I want to quit that. I have, more or less. It's the alignment with bad money, what the energy that's behind it. And I just don't know why for a long time I haven't been aligned to this side. I do a few things, but this particular side, mortgages, bad debt, all of it, what's the underpinnings of it, what's the energetic connection for it. And for me, it's just, I'd rather not have it. And that, because that energy is my karma. Yeah,
but then if I was you, I'd be going out banging out mortgages like crazy at the moment, knowing they're going to be forgiven.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's just
I get you.
The lenders are just really scrutinizing it and making it difficult for mortgages to go through because they know that that's what's happening. Why waste my energy? I'm just creating my own, good stuff that I'm doing, aligning with like health products and all of that, just moving into something that I want to do, starting my spiritual badass, my own brand, and doing that and all the health products and stuff that I want to go and align with that. And that's more sort of central to me, and connected to me. Okay, couple of questions left. So what happened in Cambridge yesterday? Did you hear about it?
I heard that there was an explosion there.
Yeah,
I heard
there was some kind of explosion. Yeah, I was in the chat with Jason, so I didn't really follow up that story. And why was the private plane going from Germany to Birmingham? Was there anyone on it? Anyone?
Look, when it comes to explosions at the moment, very, very simple. Very, very simple. Whether it's in Essex, whether it's in Cambridgeshire, you will have a number of explosions. It's one thing to stop the underground harvesting of children. That's one thing. The other thing is to destroy the bunkers and everything else that's underneath, and so that they can't be used again.
Yeah.
And that they've been blowing them up, but they've had to blow them up very carefully, because if you blew up the tunnels under Buckingham Palace, it would sink into a hole. I mean, there's so many tunnels you couldn't make it up. The same with the Vatican. So it's having to be done very carefully. So in Cambridge and in Essex yesterday, where they blew up a couple of underground military bases, as they refer to them, DUMs, yes, you get a boom, and the mainstream media will tell you it was an earthquake. Yeah, of course it was. But no, it's destroying what's been used for evil. So that it's one thing, as I said, to stop it happening. It's another thing to make sure it can't happen again.
There's a really funny meme about it. It's like my husband heard the explosion and thought I fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final question is actually before that, about the underground dams. People don't have any idea at all. First of all, how deep they go. I mean, we're talking over 5, 10, 15, 20 miles deep. I mean, in Delaware Airport, I mean, it's like another world underneath there. This is some things that I can't even comprehend, so I've kind of just kept it on the surface. But these explosions are not just no ordinary explosions, and they're giving the excuse of the earthquakes, but it brings us back down to what they're actually exploding. It's insane.
I when I was 30 years old, in my early 30s, I visited a deep underground military base in Bath, in Lansdowne. So I can actually tell you firsthand what they're like. And when Alpa's absolutely right, they're underground cities. I actually, for those people who've bought my autobiography, either online or on the physical book from Amazon, I've actually put a picture in there of one of the tunnels and the little golf buggies. So they're like golf buggies. They're not golf buggies, but They're made specifically for underground. But they are little buggies for whizzing around in. But they are, when I say they are cities underground,
it's like
there was
80
one
stories.
Sorry?
So yeah, one of my friends, you spoke to him actually on the phone the other day. He said it goes down like 80 stories. Like, yeah, it's
It
huge.
can go. When I went down in the lift, we stopped. I've no idea how deep I went. No idea at all. I just know that when we travelled down in the lift, before the first stop was about 2 minutes before we went. Before when we got to one level, we had to hand over one key and get back another key to take us down to the next level, and that was probably another minute or two. So I don't know how fast the lift was going, because when you're in a lift, you know that you're moving, you just don't know how fast you're moving. So
did your ears pop?
It just, no, one thing I noticed, yeah, your ears do pop, but one thing I did notice, it got colder.
Wow.
Got a lot colder. And when we came out at the bottom, I was like, holy shit. I mean, you couldn't make it up. I was like, there were white walls. They were painted white walls. There was a cove ceiling, but it was just like a road going this way, a road that way, and a road this way. And it was like, so
actual roads.
Sorry?
Actual roads.
Actual roads. So not tarmacked, because it was concrete. They used concrete on the floors. The walls were all plastered, brick, well, painted.
Wow.
So the first one, I came out of the lift, I turned left, because the right was just a storage facility for buggies, basically. I turned left, and then when I looked right and left as I came out, it was like as far as the eye could see was roads. And as we went right, so we went down this, and then there was lots and lots of big steel doors that were locked. And there was some that were open, and the majority were locked. And we went through one that was open, and he showed me it was a massive, massive storage facility, where he said we used to keep ammunition here during the Second World War.
Wow.
And then we went further. We probably walked another 1 kilometer underground, 1,000 meters underground. And we went to this, like, it was like a town center with shops and offices. And this is a long way underground. And we went into this like office.
What kind of shops? Like what? Just normal shops?
Now they were all empty, but you could see that they were like what we call in Spain locales. So they're the form of a shop, which has now been bricked up. Some were bricked up, some weren't. But you could see where they had, let's say, like a post office, a butcher's,
wow.
a baker's. You could see where they were, but they'd all been taken away. So they had their own bakery down there. They had their own butchers down there. They had their own convenience store down there. They had their own post office down there. And I was told that before GCHQ was built, all the signals were done down there. And it was like another world down there, a completely different world. But it was underground. And the idea of that was that if England came under attack from bombs, there's absolutely no bombs, nuclear or atomic, that could even touch them down there. They were that far down.
Wow.
So it was incredible. But I put a picture of it in my book. So for those people who want to see,
yeah, I'm sure many people would, because so that just goes to show that it's not just here though in the UK. This will be worldwide. All these underground tunnels. I mean, we know that their tunnels are everywhere. Australia. Huge in the US, everywhere around the world, India, Saudi Arabia, the Middle East. It's just massive.
The tunnels that go from Gibraltar to Africa are 5 miles underground.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
and there is, I think it was when I was talking to Gene Decode, I think he said there was 8 of them that were 5 miles down that went to different points in Africa from out of Gibraltar. So you, under the Rock of Gibraltar, you'll have a lift shaft that goes down 5 miles. So how long does it take a lift shaft to go 5 miles down? It takes a while, because I've been in the lift going up the Burj Khalifa, which is only 1 kilometer, which is 3/4 of a mile, or half 3/4 of a mile, and that takes time.
Yeah,
so,
imagine 5 miles. I mean, I've heard that it's even more than that in some places, and these ones in Africa were used all for child trafficking.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, all were used for that. I mean, all of them now were used for that. It was, and you know, not anymore. But when you look at the statistics and when you dig deeper and you do research, very sad to say, but it was the most profitable business on the planet.
100%.
And this is where, you know, we're all fired up that we've allowed this. We all have been ignorant about it, and this is what all of this is about. Essentially, we bring it back to this, that this kind of, I hate to even call it that it was a business, but it was the most, quote very negatively, the most lucrative business on the planet. And these underground tunnels, which humanity hasn't even blinked or don't even really realize, they just think it's a myth. It's not. This is the severity of it. This is the seriousness of it. So
you have people like Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres and other people who had guests on their show promoting skincare made out of human
baby,
and
baby skin and
baby
blood,
skin and stuff like that. And you just go, none of us at that stage questioned where it come from. None of us. We're all complicit. We're all guilty until we became aware as to where it was coming from. And they were putting it out in front of our faces on mainstream media, and we didn't buy into it. We didn't listen to it properly. We didn't take it on board because we thought it was a good thing.
Well, no, I think that's more to do with Charlie being so desensitized. And they attack us. They've attacked us in every single way. First of all, with fluoride, that just attacks our pineal gland and desensitizes our spiritual compass as well. And that's what they've wanted to do, to bring in this AI in the wrong sense. So it literally punctures our soul in every single way. So we have been completely ignorant and desensitized, but it's almost like we don't, this is what's happening now with the masks, isn't it, Charlie? Like, I mean, this is no comparison to that, but we're not even asking the right questions because we've lost that ability to do it, you know?
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, completely. Okay, so the final question before we wrap this up, and I've really enjoyed today. It's been good. I think this rapid fire round is going to be good. I'll have loads of questions ready because now as we're approaching sort of the end and you know, till March, there's just going to be so much going on. Well, so much has been going on.
Before your last question, I want to say a massive thank you to Aisha. You're an absolute legend. You're a living example of what every woman in the Muslim world should be. And I'm very proud to call you my friend. Yeah,
she's an amazing girl. She really is. So she's saying, will Telegram be forced to deplatform Trump and his supporters after the defamation in the press today?
We'll wait and see what happens. The most important thing is that we keep our eyes open, our ears open as to what's available to us, and we're learning. I had this conversation last week with Lee Hemington about our own platform, as to if we were offered a large amount of money, 100 million for our platform, what would we say? We both said the same thing. We have no interest in money. We're both interested in the truth getting out there. The biggest problem you've got nowadays, the same with so many social media companies. When Google come along and when Facebook come along and when all these people come along and make you lucrative offers, people go, wow, we can do that. We have no interest in doing that. And there'll be many communication channels that will be contaminated. But there's a lot of new channels that are going to come to the front. Donald Trump has made that clear, that there'll be new channels. We do need censorship. Don't get me wrong, we do. We need censorship for paedophilia, for many...
The correct censorship, it's needed. There needs to be the legal framework for all of this and the regulations. There has to be.
And you have to take the political side out of it and take out what's right and what's wrong. And people who've got a correct moral compass, you need them in charge of fact-checking, if you like. It doesn't need to be fact-checking, it just needs to be the difference between right and wrong. But what's happened is been infiltrated by the extreme left, who've controlled the fact-checking. It was paid for by Soros and the Clinton Foundation.
It's all the Chinese, the CCP.
Yeah, and the CCP.
The CCP and all of that. And that's one thing that everyone listening to this has to take on board, because it's the CCP that's been infiltrated and exposing this. This was just brilliant. Checkmate the other day. You know, it was just absolutely brilliant in how they've gone about to expose the Chinese Communist Party. Everything that's been going on post the 6th has been pretty difficult for all us truthers out there, because people that were kind of swaying and coming round to Trump and everything, what happened in Washington completely put people on the other side. So it's caused this huge divide momentarily. You know, this is temporary. Because when the full disclosure comes out, which I'm confident is imminent, how that's going to play out, Charlie, you can perhaps shed more light on that.
Washington for me was absolutely bang on the money, because what it was a distraction.
Of course.
A million people in one place for a speech that really was just a very, very nice stuff with nothing that everybody was expecting. But whilst that was going on over there, the black hats were totally focused on Washington, which allowed Trump's secret team to do two things. Number one, to watch the election that was going on, that was being rigged, and they wanted to know where the money came from, because they know that they've frozen the assets of the Soroses and the Clintons and the Bushes and the Obamas. They know they've frozen that. So they want to know where the money was coming from. They managed to track the money coming to Dominion from the Vatican.
Yes.
So they tracked that via Leonardi, which was the satellite.
Satellites, yeah.
Yeah, so they tracked that. So that distraction did its job. The other thing, of course, was it allowed them to watch Antifa come in when they went to Capitol Hill.
And
Antifa was the first ones in the building. Those were the ones that broke entry, although
you
look very carefully, you'll see the police let them in.
Yeah.
So you know that was an agreement between the deep state, and they pretended they were Trump supporters, but they were Antifa.
Antifa, yeah.
Trump's Trump's elite squad managed to get right behind them.
Yeah.
And get straight in there. So when they created the chaos, they tried to hijack Trump's rally. But the minute they were inside Capitol Hill causing chaos, what it allowed the security guys from Trump to do is to seize all the laptops.
Yeah.
Once they seized the laptops, the game was already over, but this was just the cherry on the cake. Trump already had the information about the laptops. Now he had the hard evidence. And it was about tormenting Pelosi and her team.
Yeah.
We've now got your laptop, and not only have we got all the evidence we need, we got a cherry on the top.
Yeah. Did you see Trump's hair as well? It was silver that day.
Yes, it was.
And then yesterday in the speech,
it was gold.
Tara mentioned this point yesterday in our group, and this was very important about right side broadcasting, that he was incredibly orange and his hair was golden yesterday.
It's very interesting how the cameraman picked up the guy in the sports shirt.
And number 17. Yeah.
You couldn't make it up.
Yeah.
The signs are all out there. And as much as people go, oh, it's all a conspiracy theory, there's only so many times.
It's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy, but that's where I was like, yeah, I noticed that. I noticed the exact time that actual broadcast finished. It was 1 hour and 11 minutes at 1:11. His own speech later on that day, where he's telling everyone to go home, was 1:01. So these are all the comms that are speaking, and I notice all of these things with my affiliation with numbers and everything. But yesterday I did notice his hair was very golden, but they made him look very orange. So we were all speculating what that could be about yesterday. But yeah, there is the gold and the silver hair, which is like, how does he have time to like dye it like that? Surely. What's going on there? I'm just still trying to work that out. I'm just looking at Trump's hair. Oh, Charlie, this has been brilliant. So every week I'd like to do like a rapid fire round with you. I'll get loads of questions and the important ones. And I think loved that session you had with Robert and Simon. That was really, really good. It was like 6-minute fire round. So I thought that was great. Oh, I think people are going to really enjoy this one. It was brilliant.
Excellent.
Because I do want more info on India. I really do, because I think it's any time now that there's going to be a big rude awakening, because they're still very much asleep. And that's the reality, Charlie. They are at grassroots. And too afraid. The ones that are speaking up, Tiana, myself and Aisha, within our communities, very much still a big backlash and that whole shame and all of that. But slowly, it's imminent and it's going to start.
also Tiana, you know, young lady standing up for what's right. She's
brilliant.
Still
24-year-old.
Sorry?
She's 24, and what an articulate and beautiful girl.
Exactly. And she needs all our support right now to get the message out to the young Asian community, to wake them up, because it's not easy, but she's doing an amazing job, and she's very, very well informed. She's very eloquent as well. So, yeah, we've got a great team of people all around us.
Yeah, we all are. We're all doing our little bit, whatever way. In whatever way. Charlie, next week, see you then.
See you then. Cheers, Alpa. Lots of love.